had just been working since about 2013 before we even got into local foods, local places, because we couldn't even say thank God for Phillips County. Because we were actually below, Chico County was below Phillips County, and we laugh about that because we all exchanged 75th, 74th, 73. And so we were kind of in the same boat where we were just going, look, we're tired of being at the bottom. We can't even say, thank God for Mississippi, or Mississippi County for that matter. And so we really worked, starting with our health indicators, but thanks to our economic developers in our town, we really shifted to more of an economic development, really realizing that health was at the base of that. And then that really took us into local foods, local places, gave us some ideas. We have a very, very similar situation, and now has actually turned into a nonprofit and a small business incubator. So last night we were kind of talking about that. So I just want you to know this didn't start overnight. The wheels were really turning back in 2013. We 3 years later did local foods, local places, and 2 years after local foods, local places is now where we are. So so don't give up. And it's a long process, as y'all know. Our local foods, local places was not unlike yours, not unlike McCory's, Elaine's very much. We wanted a farmer's market, revitalize downtown, connect the dots in our cities through walking and biking routes, and really just like, what does Lake Village have to offer? I come to Helena, I'm like, oh, I wish I had that, I wish I had that. So, every time you go somewhere, you're just like, I wish I had. So really, I think you heard me say earlier, along the Delta, we've got to be better at really like talking about our assets as a region. So that was our goals. Mike inspired us and really told us, some case scenarios and some case studies. And so one of the things that really resonated was we had a downtown vacant lot. So we actually were very inspired by your pocket park. We showed it on almost all of our slideshows, and now we have a pocket park. And that was inspired by you guys. And then really, much like your downtown, very expensive, buildings are crumbling. And so we said, you know what, there's no viable retail options, but why can't we pop up? So on July 4th, not this past July 4th, before that, we had a pop-up, and we worked with the Arkansas Department of Health, Windrock, and others. And so we actually had 6 booths or businesses, if you will, that popped up as part of that. And so it really was our test market to say, does this kind of pop-up idea, does the small business incubator thing really have a viable opportunity in our town? And the answer was yes. So that's what our pocket park is smaller than yours, but that's actually what our pocket park looks like. And so ours is not a permanent structure like yours right now. We have a shipping container, and so we pop it in and pop it out because someone was talking about Freeman Park. So if we left this out, it would not be there the next morning. That's reality for us. So we're working on doing something very similar to Freeman Park, where it's open and access, but it's gated. It's just, you were talking earlier about, it looks like a prison, a fort. Some people said prison, and I said, well, that's our reality. But here was some of the pop-ups we had. So we had a mobile farmer's market. We had a dog boutique, which we were talking. Oh, she left. Which we were talking about earlier. This was homemade dog treats, and it benefited our animal shelter. This was a pop-up furniture consignment area. I'll get to this in a minute. We had a pop-up bike shop. Oh yeah, it's there. Because we were really starting to build a bike culture, and actually people are like, well, which one was the most successful? And I was like, the bike shop. Even though we only had 3 cyclists, and I'm one of the husband's the other one, we actually had a lot of people that were like, oh, I have this old beater bike at home, hold on, and we're walkable. So they literally ran and would bring this bike up here that's been sitting outside for like 10 years with rusted chains, and they wanted it to, work, and we were like, well, we probably need to replace the chain. But what it did is it generated like that interest of, oh yeah, like we could totally bike. But the one thing that we really focused on and is actually coming to reality now is we did a pop-up healthy food retail store, much like what y'all have talked about. So this is a smoothie bike. I don't know if y'all have ever seen them, but you actually can get on it and pedal and make your smoothie. These are the youth. Yeah. These are the youth, and I'll talk a little bit about our learning collaborative, our work with the East Lab and our school and our HYPE program. But they had, kind of like someone yesterday said, a Whole Foods. So they sold granola, they sold, you know, fresh bananas, and then they made smoothies. So those were really our partnerships. So I want to say that that really led to a larger discussion of, okay, did this pop up? We kind of have some gathering spaces. We really want to revitalize our downtown. And I will just point you to this resource. It's really good, but it's how to bring arts, health, and wellness together. Because we really wanted to make sure that we were including all sectors in our job. And I heard a little bit of art stuff too. So it just kind of gave some good examples. So this is where we wound up after Local Foods, Local Places and doing a pop-up. This is our hub. I wish I had your bush shed. Matter of fact, Jordan and I were like, can we just take this back? Because we're outgrowing our building, and I'll tell you why in just a minute. But we created a hub. It has 4 components. Again, we started the nonprofit to actually, organizationally, because Jason wanted me to talk about the organization of it. So organizationally, we have a nonprofit. We are working with our community foundation. So they are part of our fiduciary, but really helping with our donor base. And we have an action fund with them. Which was how the playground, I think, was started here, Freeman Playground. So again, I direct you to utilize the Community Foundation. That's what they're here for, is really these public partnerships. So our hub has 4 components. The first one is a commercial kitchen with retail space, and I kind of talked for y'all that were here last night. The retail space was very important for us because there's a difference between the shared kitchen, the commercial kitchen, the community kitchen, and a kitchen incubator, and a food hub. But we really focused on a commercial kitchen with retail space. The second thing we have is the Village Marketplace. And so this is really our pop-up shops. Those are our incubator spaces, and our art gallery. Then you'll kind of come on around, we have a creation station. So part of this was our art center folded. We did not want that for our community. We folded it into the hub, so that's where we have our art classes, but more than that, we have meeting space rental, we have tutoring, so really we wanted to say the arts but go beyond that to say we just want to be creative, right, whatever that might look like. Compassion resources, and I wanted to talk about that. We really want to be able to link to our food pantry. It's not in the hub right now, but that's certainly something we want to over time. But you know, how can we really create this funnel to our food system? And lastly, we have stumping grounds. Does anybody know why it's called Stumping Grounds? One person knows. So I'll give you a little hint. It's so Chico, and for those of you who say Chico, like, I'll forgive you, but it's Chico. It means, it's French, and it means stump. So if you come to Lake Village, there's all these beautiful cypress trees in our lake. They're known for their very expansive stumps. So we decided on Stumping Grounds. So it's something very cultural to us. We really wanted it to be a communal space. So it's going to be a coffee shop slash smoothie shop, hence from what we did earlier. But I'll show you guys where we got some ideas and how that's really driving workforce development. So we spent about a year looking at best practices. I don't want to go through all of these, but you mentioned, I think it was Mike mentioned Lafayette, Louisiana, and we went down and looked at their food hub and really did some investigation around, you know, do we want to be a food hub? You know, we went over to Thrive, actually. We came over. You guys have inspired us in a lot of ways, but we talked to Thrive and sort of what their incubator space was in Little Rock, New Orleans, and so Clarksdale, Mississippi, Little Rock, and so we kind of got some best practices, and the biggest thing I have to say, and when I go up and down the Delta, is scale. You gotta find what works for you. So we took the best of all of these and just kind of scaled it to work what would work for us. I'm going very fast. So this is our small business incubator. We opened in April. We're fully operational. It's a collaborative with our economic development committee. We have technical assistance from Winrock, and we have our staff time from the University of Arkansas Cooperative Extension. So this is an old nursing home. That's our bus shed. So it's an old nursing home, was just an art gallery, had beautiful art in it, but it didn't generate income. So we were like, you know, we want to continue our arts program, we want to continue the programming, but we've got to figure out a way to make money, or the door's going to shut. So this is our local food component. We have one area in our incubator that is all local food. So that's barbecue sauce, canned chow chow, mix. Huh?
Then you have like little spice packs.
Spice packs. So basically anything that was local food. And we're not defining local as in like village, but it's really like, is it sourced from a local person? Then we have 10 by 10 and 10 by 20 slots. You can see that we got innovative and used pallets. So we really just palleted off this big space. So this is actually the one that popped up at the on Main Street. She actually came into this incubator. And then we have a clothing, we have, our success so far is that we've generated 3 business licenses. Of course, we collect sales tax, so that's a big, big thing. We had one of our business licenses, she was gonna go out of town, go out of business, she was retiring. But we kept her from completely going out, and she just scaled her storefront to us. So instead of losing Noni's Antiques, we kept her. Another business license that we have is she had 2 locations, one in Mississippi, one in Arkansas. She had shut down her Arkansas location because it wasn't performing in a neighboring town. Again, she scaled it down a little, and she's put it in our incubator. So we basically brought a business back to Arkansas. And then again, Madden Reese, we actually generated, that's a new business license. So we also opened a consignment shop. We do not have the resources. We don't have a Goodwill. I don't know if y'all do here, but we had no consignment options. That kind of goes back to those compassion resources. Like, we just needed a place where people could get things. Children's clothes is a big one, and you had to go to Greenville. We were losing all of our money to Greenville, Mississippi. So it's a way to bring that back in. The creation station, again, fully operational. We get a lot of money from the art, or not a lot, but we get some money from the arts. We have various just funding sources from that. Farm Bureau actually funds some of it. We have a culinary art program. And one of the issues, and I heard it coming up, is we didn't have a place to have a meeting space. In fact, when they came down for local foods, local places, like, we met at City Hall, which is fine. We have a beautiful renovated City Hall, but the neutrality sometimes of places. So you either meet in a church, a library, the chamber, or whatever. So we really wanted to have a meeting space, and so we created that within the hub. I talked a little bit about the healthy food retail. So the 2 kind of best practices was Meraki, and I encourage you to go to Clarksdale, Mississippi. It's just up the road from you guys. They have an arts program, but it's way more than that. It's really a youth entrepreneurship program, a workforce development program. And so they do have a coffee shop where they're training like 10 people every 4 months. And it's roasting, it's business development, it's all that kind of stuff. And so all of the proceeds go back into their programming. So it was an income generator, again, for that hub. And then we're working with Nexus. They have some co-shared space. Miranda's not here, but she was talking this morning at breakfast about, her husband's a lawyer, but he really didn't need a big office. And so, could he have gone into this shared space? And so, those are kind of the things that we're doing. And then the smoothie shop went over so well that we actually got funding from the Arkansas Community Foundation recently. And so we, the East Endowment, and so we will be opening our smoothie shop, and it will be all youth led. And so that's really a way, again, to get the healthy food retail that we want, but also encourage our kids in civic engagement. I'm going quickly. This is not our kitchen yet, but this is what we've sort of laid out as our kitchen vision. Again, we're in an old nursing home, so we had some infrastructure for a kitchen, but we will be renting that space out. But the more important thing is that we wanted a place for people to eat, much like you guys. We have just a few restaurants, and we want those proprietors to not only be able to cook, but also have a place for retailing. So we're hoping for more of a diner style, bar style restaurant incubation space. So this is fully funded. We got money from the Centers for Disease Control, and we're hoping to open that in January 19th if we get all of our health department inspections, which is not easy. So that's the commercial kitchen. I just quickly mentioned we have a Lakeside Learning Collaborative, so we work with our school. They do everything from our walk audits with us, with our mayor, to GIS mapping. They've done some drone technology for us. They worked with our food bank, actually. I wanted to mention this because In November, they did a healthy food drive for like the Thanksgiving, Christmas. And so we gave them a list of healthier donation items, and so it was a way for us to connect with our food pantry. But this learning collaborative is not just community service learning. These kids aren't just going out and like doing 5 hours of volunteer services. They're really integrated. And I think that our adults have really enjoyed, I don't have to go out to the school and do a class. I mean, it's truly been a learning collaborative. And so I just always caution the community to make it bilateral learning. We have a program that we use that teaches civic engagement also to our youth. So again, it's really not just community service, it's how do I get involved and help with decision making. And it's been amazing, the projects that they have done. I mean, every day I'm blown away by what our East Labs can do and the vision of some of our youth. So we do have a curriculum. I just wanted to say that because it's very scripted how we work with them. And this was one of their projects. So we worked with our high school art classes, and so they're doing palette art that says eat local, eat fresh, and you can kind of see those throughout our community. And so it's really getting this message about farm to table, sweet flavors. And then working with our chamber, I heard we have a couple of chamber people. So in our planners and stuff downtown, we're actually using the greenhouse from our school. They're growing all the things that go into our planners downtown for our beautification. And then these things say grown and donated by Lakeside High School. So it's a pride thing that all of a sudden they start seeing, oh, I grew that, in my ag class. And so that's been, again, the EDC, the chamber, and the school district. And so we're really trying to look at ways that we can connect that school district to our local economic developer and business community. So I was asked to say how we're funded. Again, you saw some federal, some state, and then local. We have the Bob White Memorial Foundation. They are the ones that are doing our youth entrepreneurship, our youth advisory council. And then the Southeast Arkansas Community Foundation, we really went to them and said, this is not just like individual projects. Like, we're coming to you with a community health improvement initiative. And so we really want you to fund all of these because each one of them are integrated with this master plan. So I really appreciate, Darby, what you said earlier about having an action plan that has steps, because I think it helped our local funder invest more sustainable projects over time. That's it. So just food for thought.
All right.